Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Lori Skinner from thiscraftersdream.com and welcome to Man Card Monday. Today we're going to be making this card. I guess you can say it's a birthday card, and I'm using a couple different stamp sets. For the feathers, I'm using A Beautiful World, and then I am using the coordinating world map dies to cut out the feathers. And for everything else, I'm using the Tasteful Label dies. I'm using these three. And then I'm also using two different embossing folders. Of course, I'm using this Brick Mortar 3D embossing folder for the background. And for the cinnamon cider layer, I am embossing it using the Tasteful Textures 3D embossing folder. This card, the part that takes the longest is coloring the background. I'm using some Stampin Blends, but I love the way it turned out. Here's one I'll get a little closer. Doesn't that look neat? I love the way that turned out. I started playing around with this embossing folder. At first I started just coloring just the darker bricks, and I colored just some of the bricks using the light crumb cake and leaving everything else white, but I wasn't quite happy with that, so then I started coloring in everything with the light crumb cake Stampin' Blends, and I just love the way it turned out. So to get started, let's see, let me show you the inside. The inside, I just used the same Stampin' Blends that I did for the brick background, and I just drew a line across it for that and the envelope, so it all coordinates. Just an easy way without using a stamp or decorative paper. Okay, so to start off with, I think we're going to just go straight into the background. So I already did this embossing offline since it takes so long to color the background. I was trying to save as much time as possible. But what I'm going to do is, for coloring, we have dark cinnamon cider, dark smoky slate, light crumb cake, dark night of navy, and dark daffodil delight. And what I started doing was all the raised bricks, I used one of these colors on it, and then everything else, the background, I did it all in the light crumb cake. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start coloring them, and then I'm going to just speed up the video so you can see how I did it, and that way it doesn't take quite so long to do it. So all I do is kind of just go along the outside and just fill it in, and it does not have to be super perfect. That's what I like about this, because it's bricks, and none of the bricks are perfectly square. Okay, let's see. Down here. If you don't have Stampin' Blends, you can use your markers or whatever you have on hand to do this. But the Stampin' Blends I think they give it a nice look to it. So you don't have to be super perfect. Here. Okay, that looks good. Now for the yellow, I just did a couple of the yellow. This is Night and Navy. I've been enjoying this color combination. That's good. Okay, so the rest, I'm going to use this light crumb cake and just fill them all in. there we have it. See, it didn't take too long, but I love, like I said, I love the way this turned out. Okay, so let's start die cutting our pieces. Let me grab my Big Shot. I mean, not my Big Shot, my that was a blast from the past. My Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine is what it's called. Okay, so we need to do some die cutting first and then embossing. Okay, so first we have a piece of Night and Navy, and I believe my thing is getting all curled up. I keep a little post-it note with everything that I did. Okay, so this is 3 7/8 by 2 3/4. And again, this is from the Tasteful Dies. Whoops, I'm missing something. Why is this not going through? Yep, I'm missing a layer. There we go. There it is. Okay, let's try this again. That's better. Some green ink on it. Okay, so that one is cut. And then we have Cinnamon Cider. We're going to use this one. And this Cinnamon Cider is 2 7/8 by 2 1/4. I'll have all the dimensions for you in the description and all the different products that I used, so you don't have to worry about trying to write things down as I'm making them. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and emboss this Cinnamon Cider piece. And we're going to use the Tasteful Dies 3D embossing folder. There we go. See, didn't that turn out nice? Okay, so the last thing we're going to be die cutting, I need to put together real quick. So let me move this. So what we're going to do is to make this little background right here, it's behind the sentiment, I have, oops, I'm missing a strip. There it is. I have 6 strips of cardstock. Each one of these strips is 1/4 of an inch. And what I'm going to do is, this is a piece of our, oops, I did it backwards. These are our, I'll pull them out and show them to you. Because for the life of me, I can't remember what they're called. Oops, there we are. Adhesive sheets. For some reason, I could not think of that. But you get a lot of them in the package. Let's see, you get 12 of these big sheets. And when you're using them, there you go, you want to make sure, I'm going to fold this down and get it started, so that way if I need to move it, I can. When you're using these, make sure you cut off the extra, because it will make a mess on your Big Shot machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line these up on this adhesive sheet, and then I'll die cut it. That way everything is all stuck together. If you want, you can just, if you don't have an adhesive sheet, you can just glue this to a piece of cardstock and then die cut it. Let's see, and then Cinnamon Cider. Make sure they're all butted up closely. Okay, so now now when I fold it down, I can I didn't realize when I cut this it was 2 separate pieces. So we will just attach it. It's 3 separate pieces. I cut it the wrong way. Okay, so there we go. See what I mean about the sticky comes off? That's what it'll do to your big shot machine. It'll get everywhere. Where's my adhesive remover? Okay. So now those are all down there. So what I am going to do is put this back on just to, no, it doesn't want me to. This way I can cut it off, the excess. Okay, throw that away. Okay, so now that's done. Now we can die cut it. So we're going to take this die from the Tasteful Labels and we're going to put it on here and we are going to die cut. Let me grab my cut and emboss machine. Okay. Okay, so this, we're going to put it in here and we are going to line it up. So it's kind of centered. Put a plate on top. I'm going to run it through a couple times just to make sure it cuts all the way through. That looks like a cut. Just fine. There we go. If you want, you can use these little pieces for something else. Okay, so see how that turned out? Kind of neat, huh? So what we're going to do is we're going to layer these up. And I have to remember what I did. Glue, glue, okay. So sometimes you have to run your finger along the edge of these because it'll have little pieces that are still stuck to it from when you die cut. See the little strips coming off? Not sure why it does this, but it just does. If you want, you can just take a fingernail file to it and it gets them all off. Okay, there we go. So what we're going to do is we are going to put a couple of dimensionals on this. We're going to add it to the top of the Night of Navy. Ooh, I think that's, no, not quite. Over a little more. Okay. Then this, we can peel our backing off. straight down to the middle. Doesn't that look nice? I love that. So let's put this, actually I guess we can glue this down. So here we have I use Thick Whisper White for the card base. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I scored it at 5 1/2. And we're just going to glue this straight down. Using the liquid glue gives you a little bit of wiggle room to make sure everything's centered, and I moved it too much. There we go. And it just did it again. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now glue this down. Okay, there we go. Doesn't that look sharp? Okay, so now we need a sentiment. And I have more. Okay, so the sentiment we are using, like I said, we're going to use this It's Your Day from the Happiest of Birthdays. I love this sentiment just because the way they made the stamp, it looks like it's actually handwritten. It's just lovely. So we'll use our Night of Navy. Okay, see? Looks like you just kind of wrote it out yourself. Okay, so let me put that over there so I don't put my hand in it. Okay, so for this, I hand cut it out. And when I go to fussy cut words, I always take a pencil and I lightly outline where I'm going to cut. I just found it so much easier. And then that way you know if you like it. See? Okay, so I'm not going to cut this out all the way because I have another one right there. So what I do, take my scissors and my cutting hand, and you turn the paper with your other hand. You keep this hand stationary, and you cut and turn your paper with your, for me it's my left hand. And that's how you can do the perfect edges, perfect circles. See? Okay, so you get the gist of it. So here's one that I already had previously cut out. Put some dimensionals on the back of it. see, we are going to hang this puppy off the edge. See, if you want, you could stop right there and be done with it, and it'd be just fine. But I like the idea of adding a couple of feathers just to give it something else. So let's see, I stamped those in, one in Bumblebee and one in Sahara Sand, and I stamped it onto the coordinating cardstock. So we have Sahara Sand, oops, I need to clean that, don't I? I need to use it. Now, our Bumblebee. Okay. I love this Bumblebee cardstock. Just a pretty color. Okay, so now let me grab my little one. This is my favorite little guy. Oops, I'm die cutting. Not embossing. Where is my feather? There it is. Okay. Let's die cut these. Oh, what am I doing? Let me try this again. I think my card was on it, so it was not letting it roll through the other side. Okay. There we go. Yep, that was the problem. One and two. Now we're done with all the die cutting. Okay, so we have our two leaves, not leaves, feathers. And what I do is I just put them down with a glue dot. Now for the ribbons, I'm using 3. I'm using the Cinnamon Cider in color ribbon. This is the Night of Navy, and it's from the Plain with Patterns ribbon pack. And of course, good old trusty linen thread. So I found it's easier to tie this while they're still on than it is trying to cut a small piece and then trying to tie a knot. It didn't work very well. So I just gathered the 3, tie a knot, just manipulate it so all the ribbons are facing the same way. And then just cut it at an angle. I'm not sure if I was off the camera. Okay. Then we're going to use a glue dot on the back of that. We're going to put this at the top by the feathers. Okay, now we're done with the front. Where is my, let's do the inside of the card. Show you how I did that. So the inside of the card, I kind of did them in the same, let me put them in order so I have them in the right order. Navy, cider, that, and then we'll use a daffodil. So what I do is I use the small side of the marker and I just drew a line. It doesn't have to be straight. Let me grab my envelope because I'll do the envelope at the same time. We're going to use that one again. Then, like I said, we have our dark smoky slate. Dark Night of Navy. Cinnamon Cider. Let's see, light crumb cake. I use the light crumb cake since there is no Sahara sand. This was the closest I could get to it. And lastly, we'll finish up with another Daffodil Delight. Isn't that fun? Okay, so let's put this on the inside. Last step. Okay, and there we have it. Love this card. It's a lot of fun to make. Okay, there you go. Today, we have this beautiful card for our Man Card Monday. Thanks for joining me. Do me a favor and leave a comment, or better yet, subscribe to the page so you don't miss any more of my videos. Thanks for joining me today. See you next week. Bye.